Okay, let's get started. So the first thing that I want to do is take you through all of the tools of the trade that I use on a regular basis to identify trading opportunities, to do my research, whether it's for day trades, swing trades, or investment opportunities. They're tools that I use regularly to help me identify opportunities, to build my scans, to set up watch lists. I'm going to take you through each one of these things. And what I want you to do is I want you to open up your browser and bookmark these things. And the reason why I'm giving them to you up front is I want you to familiarize yourself with these tools so that as you see me use them throughout the video program, you can follow along side by side. So one of the first tools that I want you to bookmark is Yahoo Key Statistics. Now, I use Yahoo Key Statistics every day, whether it's for a day trade or whether it's for a swing or an investment, to get a quick snapshot of the health of the company. Key Statistics is invaluable to me. So let's just say, for example, that I see a stock that's moving pre-market and I'm not familiar with the company. But let's say it's a $5 stock, or actually, you know what? We can use this one as an example. This stock was gapping up pre-market, and I was not familiar with this company, but I wanted to get familiar and see what the health of the organization was and whether it would be something I would be looking to consider for a day trade or potentially a swing trade. Now, what we can learn right off the bat from this company, or from the key statistics, is we learn the market cap. We learn the PE, which is the price to earnings multiple, the forward PE. We learn profit margin, operating margin, quarterly revenue growth year over year, quarterly earnings growth year over year. So currently, not a really a pretty picture. Down 10% here, down 73% there, quarterly earnings year over year. We want to see total cash on the balance sheet. We want to see total debt on the balance sheet. Book value. Operating cash flow, very important. Is it positive or negative? The float. For those of you that don't know, the float is the amount of shares that are available for trade. There's shares outstanding, and then there's the float, which is the actual shares that are available for trade. You can see insider holdings, institutional holdings, 52-week high, 52-week low, 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, whether they pay a dividend, and what the yield is. There's a tremendous amount of information that you can find on this one sheet. And that helps me determine whether or not I want to take it for a day trade or potentially a swing. Or maybe it's a stock that I would look to invest in. So let's just say, for example, that I see a stock that's trading at $5 and it's up pre-market $1 on the news that it got approved for a new patent. Now, the press release may sound really impressive. It may be this unbelievable sounding patent. But is it something that significantly impacts the balance sheet? Let's say this stock is up $1. It's a $5 stock. And I pull up the balance sheet and I see that they have $50,000 in the bank for cash. They have debt of $10 million, and they have a negative cash flow of $35 million with a book value of negative 17 cents. Now, right off the bat, this is letting me know that this is a company that financially is not very healthy. And there's a strong likelihood that off of this press release that's giving a pop to the stock, they're going to raise capital, which means they're going to issue more shares, which is going to dilute the current shareholders. And that is going to help me identify that this could be a scalp trade or even potentially a good short opportunity. Now, a lot of times with these smaller companies that have little cash flow or negative cash flow, they have a big short interest. So the bigger the short interest, if this were to be 25 or 30%, the stronger the likelihood that you're going to get a short squeeze. Okay? This particular stock only has 0.18% short interest. So this is not a big candidate for a potential short squeeze. But this is what I use Key Statistics for each and every day before I get involved in a specific trade. So bookmark this. It's going to become an invaluable tool for you as well. The other one that I want you to bookmark is Yahoo In. I go through this every single morning and typically after the close to look for any type of press release that may be a catalyst for a stock. Now, this is going to require some due diligence, right? It's going to require you to study things. It's going to require you to do some reading, but this is how you find opportunity. Yahoo In is a fantastic tool and it's free. So when I'm going through this in the morning, for example, we're in the midst of earnings season. So, and I'm a long bias trader. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for earnings releases that beat the street. So Wynn Resorts reported earnings and was up 12% today on the fact that he was more upbeat on his earnings call. XBios, OPK, acquired some shares of XBio. This stock was up 68% off of that news. An example of a fluff piece or something that doesn't significantly change a company. Here's an announcement from MagnaGas. It announces that it believes it has identified a source of a recent short attack and blog initiated legal action against the bloggers. It sounds pretty powerful. Management believes this blogger is one of several individuals acting in collusion to receive ill-gotten gains through short selling and false, misleading, anonymous publications. That's all great, fine, and dandy. Is that anything that is going to significantly impact the price of the stock? Well, let's take a look. Stock went down. It was an insignificant piece of news. Okay? And Yahoo In helps me identify things that are real and things that are not real. RR Red Robin Gourmet, 2 cents better than expected, upside guidance. This is a news release that is worthy of inspection. I want to pull up the chart on RRGB and take a look and see if there is a potential opportunity there for a trade. So as we go through this educational program, you will see me use Yahoo In, but this is one you absolutely want to bookmark and have in your arsenal. The next thing I want you to bookmark is I want you to bookmark Investopedia. It is a tremendous source for new and old traders. It doesn't matter. This will help you identify. Look, if you're somewhere and you hear about a specific type of trading tool or a indicator, you can find out what that indicator is on Investopedia. Anything you want to know: SEC filings, investing, trading, markets, chart configurations. This is a fantastic tool. So one of the things that I get asked about frequently, especially from the swing trading and investment side, is, where do I look to see how a company's doing? What do I need to look at to look at their financials? And that's all SEC filings. You want to familiarize yourself with a 10K or a 10Q, an 8K. If you see an 8K that is put out on a company, typically an 8K is a major development that investors should know about. Okay, they give a bunch of examples here which are fairly negative: bankruptcy, receivership, material impairments, completion of acquisition or disposition of assets, departures or appointments of executives, but can also be positive. It could be a new contract. It can be they raised guidance for their, they gave early guidance on their earnings and raised guidance. There can be anything that's significant or could impact the value of a stock is reported in an 8K. 13D reveals ownership interest, or companies that are taking more than 5% position in a company. But all of this can be found on Investopedia. It's a fantastic resource. And just to highlight it, if you wanted to know about pivot points, you could come to Investopedia and say, I want to learn about pivot points. You punch it in up at the top. Boom. He's got a video on pivot points. It's a fantastic tool.
Welcome to Opportunities.com.
Let's just turn that off. It's a fantastic tool, and I want you to highlight and bookmark Investopedia. Another tool that I use, and this is really primarily more for my swings and my investments. However, I do get direct emails. I do get direct emails from Seeking Alpha that at times have given me the heads up on a good day trade as well. You can choose to follow specific authors. You can choose to follow specific stocks and have those sent directly to your email. For example, one of the ones that I like to follow is this Insider Insights. It gives you a summary of action by insiders within specific stocks. For example, insider trades that were rated as significant, insignificant, conflicted insider selling, or insider signals, both purchases and sells. So Jamie Dimon just, bought $26 million worth of JP Morgan Chase. You've got, looks like it was a board, someone from the board bought some of this ZFGN, $1 million worth. So I get this sent directly to my email. But like I said, you can follow specific authors. You can follow specific stocks. The only thing I will say about Seeking Alpha is you have to look at this very objectively. Understand that the authors of Seeking Alpha, their articles are geared towards their it's geared towards their sentiment of a particular stock or the market, whether that's bullish or bearish. And what they, look, the words are funny things. You can make words look good. If you're bullish, you can make words look bad if you're bearish. You have to be very objective when you're reading these articles. You can read stuff about the macroeconomy. but there's always a bull and bear side. You have to be somewhat cautious in what you're reading and understand it's just a person's point of view. But it does present, I mean, Seeking Alpha has given me some tremendous trading, investing, and swing trading ideas. And if you're a swing trader or a investor, this is one you want to highlight or bookmark on your browser. Benzinga Pro. Now, if you're a day trader, this is a tool that I think everyone should have as a day trader, and that is a live news feed. I use Benzinga Pro. I'm not suggesting that you run out and get Benzinga Pro today. If you're a swing trader or uh, an investor, then this probably isn't even for you. But if you're a day trader, if you're an active day trader, this is a very valuable tool. I use the audio squawk. I have a lot of things going on throughout the day, so I can't just stay looking at the news feed, stare at the news feed. I'm looking at charts. I'm trading. I'm in my chat room. I'm looking at Twitter. So I'm not always looking at the live news feed. By having audio squawk, anytime there's something that's breaking or significant, I get an audio alert. I get an individual telling me what's happening about a specific stock. And in this business, seconds matter. So it's a fantastic tool, and it's one that I think you absolutely have to have. It doesn't have to be Benzinga Pro. It can be any live news feed, but this has been a fantastic tool for me, and I highly recommend it. You can bookmark this and come back to it at a later time when you feel more comfortable. You get, I think you get for the first month is $1. So bookmark Benzinga Pro. Like I said, you don't have to do that. You don't have to sign up for it right now. But as you progress as a trader, this may be something that you would look into. The next one that I want you to bookmark is Rank and Filed. Now, I mentioned SEC filings, 10Qs. You can pull up on the SEC or on Rank and Filed all the SEC filings. You can pull up their financials. The reason I like using Rank and Filed is I like to look at insider buying, and it clearly identifies to me what is a grant or an award, what's a sale, what's exempt, and what is a purchase. And if you've been following me as a trader, you know that I pay significant attention to insider buying when it's significant insider buying. If you look at this chart, this is Rovi, who actually just reported earnings today and had a nice earnings report. But all the way back from September up through December, there has been significant insider buying, and a lot of it all by just one individual, a couple other individuals jumping in here and there, but one individual specifically bought a tremendous amount of shares. Now, when I see that kind of insider buying, there's only one reason that someone is buying like that, and that's because they think it's undervalued. So just to make my point, I'm going to pull up Rovi, and I want to show that to you. Now back here is where there started being some significant buys in Rovi. 400,000 inside buy at 1084, 22,000 at 1114, and then another 99,000 at $9.45. After that purchase of $9.45, this stock fell all the way down to $8.07 after reporting bad earnings. But what happened was this company wound up locking up a long-term contract, I think with AT&T and somebody else, and since then it's been off to the races. This is when those contracts were announced. It gapped, and it has not looked back. It closed today after reporting earnings at $20.84. An extremely strong move, and you could have gleaned that something was going on when you see this kind of insider buying before this event. So that's what I use rank and file for, is for specific insider transactions. The next one that I want you to bookmark is Earnings Whisper, and I probably underutilized this tool. The only thing I use this tool for is to identify when a company is going to report their earnings. It tells me right here if there's a check mark, it's confirmed, and they actually just reported today. But the reason I do this, and this is primarily for swings or for long-term holds, I don't like to hold things through earnings. I don't want to be getting into a stock that is ramping up into earnings and maybe reporting in the next day or two. So I have to be cautious, especially during earnings season. I use Earnings Whisper to identify when the company is going to report. But there is an awful lot on Earnings Whisper that it provides. For example, pivots, trends, expected quarterly earnings. There's a lot of information here. Like I said, I probably underutilized this, but it's a great tool to have, one you should bookmark. Here's another one that I absolutely love. A buddy of mine just turned me on to this. But here we are, Friday, February 12th. These are all the earnings that were released today. And all you have to do is click on it, and you're right
Good day, ladies and gentlemen.
there,
Welcome to the USA Technology second quarter fiscal 2016.
able to listen to the earnings call that took place today. If you want to look company specific, you punch in the company, and here you are with their earnings call. Click it, you're listening to it. And that's more for swing trades and investments, but this is a fantastic tool and one that you need to bookmark. Okay, so now we're going to get into the screener. So, I talked about the fact that I use TC2000 to build my watch list and easy scans, set my alerts, and do my chart work. But FinViz, look, if you don't want to pay the $29.99 a month for TC2000, and that's the one that I use, is the $29.99. There's a platinum version. I use the gold. It's more than sufficient for me. But there's also FinViz, which is free, and it is a tremendous resource. And it is very easy to set up specific scans. You set your parameters, and I'm going to take you through that here in a second. And there's a favorite scan that I like to use on FinViz. Oops. And I'll show you what that is. But currently, you've got 363 charts available, or 363 pages, I'm sorry, of charts available. Now, what you do with FinViz, and I use this often when I'm doing my weekend scans. When I'm doing the heavy lifting, I'm taking a look at the overall markets. I've already determined what's happening in the markets, and then I want to narrow down my focus a little bit and just look at some charts. And the reason why I like FinViz is I have all these charts on one page, and as you get a more trained eye, you're going to be able to just flip through these pages and find charts that appeal to you. And then I take those and I put them into my TC2000 program. I do a little more research, maybe through Key Statistics, maybe through rank and filed, and see if there's been any insider activity, so forth and so on. Or I take a look at exactly what that insider activity is, whether it's grants or if it's actual purchases. So let's go ahead and I'll show you my favorite scan that I use for FinViz. So I want average volume per day of over 200,000 shares. I want a float I want a percentage of the float short of over 5%. I want a buy or better by analysts. And I'm going to go ahead and leave. I could set the price for, anything over 5, under 1, whatever. I'm just going to leave it open. Then I want to go to the fundamentals. And I want to look at stocks that have insider activity of over 20. Okay, which is very positive. So we already talked about Rovi. This stock now is getting a bit extended after this big gap. I mean, it's got this gap on the daily to fill. I know that they just reported decent earnings. This could have more in it, but it's already had a tremendous run. Win, pretty nice looking chart here, just closed over this trend line. But it's a really simple way. This SXC is kind of interesting. It has broken up over this trend line here, and now it's consolidating, putting in a little flag right there. So, I would want to bring that up in my TC2000 so that I could do a little bit deeper of a dive. So this has got some insider buying at $2.12 and $2.97. It's had this little pop right into this area of resistance at about $4. Currently sitting at $3.37. Got this big flag going on here. Right? Got a nice little flag. It busted out of that flag today. This is an interesting looking stock. It's got decent volume. Now, it is in a long-term downtrend, but we're going to get into all of that stuff as we move through the educational program. That is not a pretty chart from a long-term perspective, but it does have a pretty nice look here. If this thing could take out $4, this could be a very interesting stock. But that's what I do with FinViz. It helps me to quickly identify something visually that is appealing to me from a technical perspective. I know that there's some insider buying that's taking place. I know there's at least a short position of over 5%. And I went down from 360 whatever pages of charts to 3. This was insider buying. This had this BCRX is pretty interesting actually. Had some insider buying by the Baker brothers, who typically are pretty darn good in the biotech sector. And unfortunately, this one came out with some news that their drug failed to meet their primary endpoints, and that's what happened to the stock. So this would not be one that I'd be looking at right now. But I'm looking for a technical setup. This one is somewhat interesting. Had this huge run. The CYTK has pulled back. I'd want to do a little more research into this and see where the insider buying took place. This one could be a potential short. I don't know whether the insider buying took place, but this is, I think, a gold miner coming up right into this trend line, which is acting as resistance. You could see a pullback. There is some pretty serious accumulation going on, but this has had a pretty big run. It basically went from $1 to $1.60. That's a big move. So you could see, since it is coming up into resistance, this pull back a little bit. So FinViz, like I said, I probably underutilized this site as well. There is an awful lot to see here. You can see your top gainers. You can see your top losers, your biggest losers. You can see some news. I mean, there's an awful lot of stuff that you can do with FinViz as well. but I typically just use it for my weekend scans and very specific scans. TC2000 is Worden.com. Like I said, if you don't want to invest in a charting platform just yet, that's fine. Use SpinViz. It's a tremendous tool. If you do want to use TC2000, like I said, I do the gold, $29.99 a month for that service, and that is more than sufficient for me. So bookmark Worden.com. And then last one, if you're involved in the biotech industry, this is a fantastic tool. Biopharm Catalyst, it has an FDA calendar. You could punch in the symbol if you want to look up to see if there's anything specific coming up on the calendar. But you've got, it lets you know you're getting phase 2 interim data, this RGLS, TTMP, February 27th, AAAP, all the upcoming events that could be a potential catalyst for biotech stocks. OPK's got something coming up in March. You've got FLXN, phase 3 data coming up on 2/28. So this is a fantastic tool if you're active in the biotech industry. Okay, that's it. That is my arsenal of tools that we'll be using throughout the entire video program. Bookmark them, familiarize yourself with them, and I will be back in the next segment with starting to get into the meat of the program. And the first thing we're going to talk about is identifying the dominating trend.